Good morning or good afternoon, according to the time that you're watching this video. Again and again, this is your teacher, Hiba Aburrab. Today, we're discussing worksheet answers that related to our grammar comparisons and Pioneer Unit 7 that's mentioned in Student Book 7C, page 144, and in your fourth worksheet, page 9 and 10. The main objective of this video is to give the student a chance to practice making comparisons and context. As you can see, we have a few sentences before answering the following questions. So again, you should remember what we said in the previous video about the pattern of positive and negative sentences. In other words, equality and inequality sentences. So let's get started with the first sentence. Our first sentence is John is as tall as Ali. Both are 165 centimeters. So our subject here is John. Our verb is, and we have as tall as combination, and of course our object Ali. So it's like saying John and Ali's tall are equal. It means that they are the same, and if we switch John Ali's name in the sentence and said Ali is as tall as John, now both of these sentences are true because no matter person that you use at first. In the second sentence, watching horror movies is as scary as riding the death train in the entertainment city. We can find that watching horror movie and riding the death train in the entertainment city are equally scary. So this sentence also shows an equality. Let's move to the third sentence. Traveling in a plane is as tiring as traveling on a train. It's a positive sentence because traveling in a plane and traveling on a train are equally tiring. So this sentence shows equally too. And what about the last sentence? My father isn't as patient as my mother. Mom is more patient. Oh, I think our girls, the students, will be angry about this example. Maybe their opinion is my mother isn't as patient as my father. What do you think about this, my student? So let's back to our example here and analyze it. In this example, we're using a negative comparison, so we need to be careful. If I said my mother isn't as patient as my father, would that be correct? Well, in the first sentence, it's as patient as is kind of like we're saying less patient than, and that's true because my father shows less equality while my mother shows more equality. Okay, but in the second sentence, which is my mother isn't as patient as my father, if I changed isn't patient as to less patient than, we can see that not true, it's false. So in this case, I mean in a negative form, the subject shows less equality and the object shows more equality, and don't forget that. I think it's obvious for you to answer these questions. So the first question, what words did you use to compare in the above sentences? I think it's obvious to be as adjective as, because in the first sentence I use as tall as, in the second one as scary as, in the third one as tiring as, and in the last one as patient as. So the part of the speech for each word here is an adjective. Were you focusing on less equality, more equality, or equality in all sentences? I think it's yes, we were. Which sentence shows less equality? I don't have one. No, I have the fourth sentence here. In which form is it written? Verb to be plus not, as adjective as, and this is a negative form. So our conclusion here, the structure as is used to compare things that are of similar proportion. Now, my lovely student, it's time to do some practice. During our practice time, there are 4 steps. First, you need to pause the video, then you need to write your answers in a notebook. After you've written all of your answers, go ahead and play the video again, and you'll check your answers along with me on the video. Group work, write the correct forms of the adjectives between brackets using words or parts of words from the list below. Do the suitable changes. We have er, est, more, most, less, least, as. So the first sentence, we have the second lecture was the first. I enjoyed it more, and I have my adjective between brackets, interesting. So when we read the first sentence, we can find that we have two objects, two parts to compare. And from the second part of this sentence, I enjoyed it more, I can find that we have more equality part and less equality part. And I think the second lecture has more equality and the first has less equality, because in the second sentence, I enjoyed it more. It refers to the second lecture. So you should answer this sentence by using comparative form. So the next step is to look at our adjective, interesting, and ask yourself how many syllables are there in this word. So you can find that it has more than one syllable. So you should follow the fourth step, as Miss Ayat Abu Rab mentioned within her video, which said you should add more before the adjective and then after it. So the correct answer is the second lecture was more interesting than the first. I enjoyed it more. Now the second sentence, using a calculator, seems using pens and papers to most students nowadays. So I have also two parts or two objects, using a calculator and using pens and papers. So if I ask you, do you prefer using calculator or pens and papers? I think all of you will answer me, of course, using calculator, okay? So using calculator has more equality and using pens and papers has less equality. So you should answer this sentence by using adjective, by using comparative form. So you should look at your adjective complicated, and you can find it has more than one syllable. So you should follow the fourth step. But you should notice that complicated has a negative connotation, so you should use less and not more before it. So the correct answer is using a calculator seems less complicated than using pens and papers to most students nowadays. The third sentence, Fahad hasn't grown as tall as Ahmad, yet he is still short. So I have two parts. I want to compare between Fahad and Ahmad. And according to the second part of this sentence, he is still short. So I can find that Ahmad is taller than Fahad. So Fahad hasn't grown as tall as Ahmad yet. So the fourth sentence, London is tourist destination in England. So I think in this sentence, I can find that London has more equality than anything else in England. So I should answer this sentence by using superlative form. So the next step is to look about for our adjective between brackets. So I have popular and it has more than one syllable. So the most suitable answer here is London is the most popular tourist destination in England. Sentence number 5, if you're gonna as a group, option is to rent a furnished apartment, you will pay less. Okay, my dear students, here I want to choose the best option from any other options ever. So I want to ask you, do you prefer pay money or put it in your pockets? Of course, you can answer me, I want to save my money and put it in my pocket. So here, I want to answer it by using superlative form and to use the least with expensive because I want to save my money. So if you are gonna, as a group, the least expensive option is to rent a furnished apartment. You will pay less. Sentence number 6, this box isn't, I thought it would be actually. So I want to compare between the box and my thought about this box, okay? So here I have isn't, so I have more equality and less equality, okay? So I don't know if the speaker thought that this box isn't heavier than his thought, or the box is heavier than his thought. So the suitable answer here is this box isn't as heavy as I thought it would be actually. Now, sentence number 7, the town is these days because of the shopping mall, we could barely see anyone here in the past. So I want to compare this town, these are days among all the days before, okay? So I want to use superlative form, and when I look to the crowded, I can find it has more than one syllable. So the suitable answer here to use the most before our adjective crowded. So our answer is the town is the most crowded these days because of the shopping mall. We could barely see anyone here in the past. Let's move to the next page. Number 8, the weather this summer is last year. It hasn't stopped raining for weeks. So I want to compare between the weather this summer and in the last year. So I should look at my adjective, bad, and adjective is an irregular adjective. So I want to choose the suitable form for bad here when I want to answer this sentence by using comparative forms. So the suitable answer is the weather this summer is worse than last year. Number 9, you managed to answer the 10 questions correctly. Well, you're definitely I am. I want to compare between you and I am. I find you more clever than I am because you managed to answer the 10 questions correctly. Okay, so I want to, I have here more equality for you and less equality for I am. So I should to look at our adjective clever, then I can find it has more than one syllable. So the best answer here is more clever than. Sentence number 10, there is no difference between my new and old laptops. My new laptop is my old one. So here is an equality between two parts. So the best answer is as fast as. Sentence 11, this castle is in the city. I'd rather call it ancient. So I want to talk about the castle among all castles in my city. So I think this sentence talks about superlative form. You can think about the superlative form. So you can look at the adjective between brackets, and when you find it has one syllable, so you should add est at the end of this adjective and use it in the sentence as this castle is the oldest in the city. I'd rather call it ancient. Sentence 12, all the sisters are pretty, but Susan is of them all. So Susan has more quality than any than her sisters, all her sisters. So we should use a superlative form here in this sentence. So all the sisters are pretty, but Susan is the most pretty of them all, and we use the most pretty here because pretty has more than one syllable. Sentence number 13, which of these three colors is? I want to talk about one among others, one color among other colors. So I should use superlative form, and the superlative form from good is the best. So the good answer here, or the best answer here is which of these three colors is the best. Sentence number 14, the world's biggest bull is a small elephant. They even weigh the same. So in this sentence, the world's biggest bull and small elephant are equally, okay, are equally in weight. So the best answer is as big as. And the last sentence here, which is the city's hotel. When you want to go to your vacation, you want to ask about the hotel that you want to stay in. So you want to know the best hotel, or you want to know and information about the hotel among all hotels in the city. So I should use superlative here, and you want to look at the adjective between the brackets. You can find it big. So the previous letter of the last letter is vowel. I is a vowel, so you should double G and then add EST. So which is the city's biggest hotels. Okay, now let's move to another page. Their work. Rewrite the sentences as asked. The first sentence, the second race was easy, but the first one was easier. Rewrite using as. So we have here more equality and less equality. And it's obvious that the first one has more equality and the second one has less equality. So the best answer is the second race wasn't as easy as the first one. The second sentence, my new shoes are comfortable, my old ones were comfortable too. So we have two parts. Two parts are equally and comfortable. So I can answer this sentence as my new shoes as comfortable as my old ones, and I can switch the object and the subject and say my old shoes as comfortable as my new ones. Now, sentence number 3, John's house has many rooms. Tom's house has fewer rooms. So John's house has more equality and Tom's house has less equality. So when we rewrite this sentence by using large, we say that John's house is larger than Tom's house. Number 4, cycling is easier than skiing. Rewrite using hard. We can notice that easy is the opposite of hard and hard is the opposite of easy. So we can change skiing to the cycling, and then I can answer this sentence as skiing is harder than cycling. So it's give me the same meaning of the first sentence, cycling is easier than skiing. Now, number 5, I like watching TV. I love watching movies at the cinema more. Rewrite using enjoyable. So here we also have two parts. One of them has less equality and the other has more equality. And I think it's obvious that watching movies at the cinema has more equality than watching TV. So the best answer is watching movies at the cinema is more enjoyable than watching TV for me. And we use you can notice that we use more before enjoyable because enjoyable has more than one syllable. So we should use more before it and then after it in a comparative sentence. Now, number 6, both Sarah and Susan are successful. So they are equally Sarah and Susan. Sarah is as successful as Susan and Susan is as successful as Sarah. Both of these sentences are correct because they are equally and successful. So sentence number 7, she is not as successful as her brother. So she has less equality and her brother has more equality. So when we want to rewrite this sentence by using less is a part of comparative sentence. So we should put the first part she and then the verb is, then we use less and the adjective successful because it has more than one syllable, and then we should put than, her, brother to form the correct sentence. And the last sentence, they are not worried about their examples, exams. Susan seems not worried at all. Rewrite using the least. So we have here that Susan has less equality than all of her friends because she's not worried at all. So when we want to write this sentence, we can notice that least it's a part of superlative form. So we can rewrite the sentence as Susan seems the least worried at all of them about their exams. I think all of them are obvious. And now you have a homework, my students. Your homework is individual work, answer exercise C, D, and E on your workbook, page 50. And after answering your homework, we can share the answers together with your classmates in our group and with me. So pay attention as we go forward, and don't worry, you will get it after some practice. And thank you all.